Hey guys, it's Jamie bringing you recovery-inspired hope. And tonight I have my very good friend, Kristina McFadden here to talk to us about how she is such a fire ally for recovery. Now, I've known Kristina for quite a few many years now. Several years now, being she's on Team A.R.C. We love A.R.C. and I am the official massage therapist for Team A.R.C. So, yes. So we've known each other for a long time. And I'm just so excited to have you here to talk about your experience and your passion you have for recovery.
Thank you. Yeah, so, I'm excited.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I just turned 30. I had my 30th birthday this past weekend, and I have been living in Athens since 2016. I came here to get my MSW degree from UGA.
What is MSW?
Master's of Social Work.
Okay.
So I moved to Athens to pursue that, and I always knew that I wanted to help people in some way. I just never really knew how or what aspect that would happen in. So I started school just kind of, the like sponge, like I just want to learn everything. And so I had a couple internships through my schooling and ended up actually interning at the local probation office, which, working with, the law enforcement side of things, you get a totally different perspective of people in the recovery community. And so it was there that I got the opportunity to actually kind of shift my internship to A.R.C. And that was in March of 2016. So A.R.C. had only been open for 3 months at that point.
Wow.
So just kind of here again was like, how do I volunteer? How do I help? Kind of as an intern. And then here we are in 2020 and I haven't left.
Right. And your title is the executive...
No, the program director.
The program director of A.R.C. Okay. So you have such a heart for recovery. Was there something that happened like when you were younger? Did you have any experience with substance use disorder or anything? Or did you know somebody who did?
Yeah. Luckily, fortunately for me, I hadn't have any personal experience with, addiction or substance use disorder. Primarily for my family, I'd only really ever experienced like mental health. And it was mostly, I had a really close friend as a kid, and it was one of the things that the family never talked about, but you always just kind of knew there was something going on. My friend's father had been in prison several times. And, there was just that you knew something was going on without really knowing what. And then as I got older and you, of course, got to high school, and that's, a lot of times where people start to experiment. And I had a lot of friends that kind of started going down that path. And so it wasn't like my personal experience. It was just like seeing people that I loved and cared about that were starting to, start to showing those signs of substance use disorder. And then again, like I knew I wanted to help. I just didn't really know how.
And then, so when you started interning at the probation office, that's how you got hooked up with Brandy and A.R.C.
Yeah.
And what is that like? What kind of, working on the law enforcement side and then the recovery side is completely different, right?
Yeah, it definitely was. And, it was one of those things where, you looking back on like perspective, you see like there was a reason by it, in the sense of like higher power, like, something that needed to happen, happened that day where I got to tour A.R.C. and just seeing Brandy, seeing her passion for, helping people who maybe wouldn't get help anywhere else, kind of merging the law enforcement or the court side of things with the recovery community, and like finding that niche that really doesn't exist
Right.
for the most part. And so that, like, just seeing that and like learning how, like, that was her goal to, you know, be able to provide a place for individuals who, you know, were too high risk or too
Right.
high need, that clearly needed help and just didn't have the resources. And the collaboration that we have to have as an agency with law enforcement and with probation, and like it's to the point now where we're the ones that are educating them, and
Right.
it's awesome to get to have that experience to be able to show, you know, people who are not used to that. I mean,
Right.
they're used to the whole prison jail mentality. Someone you know isn't doing right, just lock them up, and that's what they're used to, but that's what they're also taught. And so for us to be on the other side of that, teaching them about addiction, about recovery, has been a really great experience.
Yes, and it's so important. Like you're just like the rest of us, as in you speak out about recovery. And how important do you think that is as the recovery community and people who are allies for recovery, for us to speak out about our mission?
It's super important, and I think that, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, traditionally speaking, when you think about the recovery communities of like Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous, you hear that word anonymous.
Yes.
And there's there's a lot of stigma, you know,
Yes.
around, you know, keeping it hush hush or not talking about it, or, you know, that it's just this like secret society that, you know, kind of has to stay hidden away. And it's like, nowadays, like with these, you know, multiple pathways to recovery and just this movement that's coming out now, like recognizing like we don't need to be quiet, like we need to be telling everybody that'll listen, and even the people that won't listen, you know, just kind of like speaking out and saying like, you know, this is, you know, addiction is a disease, and it's something that affects more people than you know. And the more that we can talk about it, the more it gives others hope that they can achieve it too, and they don't have to hide from it. You know, so it's very important to talk about it.
Yes, I always say that when I lost my anonymity, my chains of guilt and shame were broken, and I felt empowered, and I found purpose for all the pain that I had been through. So yes, thank you so much for that. And what advice would you give to people who say maybe want to get involved with the recovery community, or not in recovery, but they don't really know how to? What would you say to them?
I would just say, like, you know, when it comes to finding a passion or finding something that you can get involved in. The thing about working with people in recovery is a lot of people think that, well, from my experience, a lot of people think that you have to, you know, have been in active addiction yourself in order to be able to work with people in recovery, and that's not true. You know, like for me, my personal experience has not been, you know, suffering from any substance use disorder, but, you know, going into this field, I mean, that was a stigma that I placed on myself, and thinking like, oh my God, I'll never be able to make a change or not be able to connect with these people because I haven't been through what they've been through. And I think it's just important to know that that's not true, that you don't have to have been in that perspective, because at the end of the day, we're all human.
Right.
We all hurt.
Yes.
We all feel pain. We all feel joy. We all at the basic human, you know, level, we all experience the same things, just not always in the same way. And so I think that for people who are not sure how they can get involved or if they would make a difference, just remember that, you know, just the fact that you're willing to listen and, you know, allow people an opportunity that, you know, sometimes have never gotten an opportunity to be heard. I think that's the most important. So just not being afraid to get involved.
Yes. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Kristina. Kristina is just such a superstar ally, and we're just super grateful for her. We'll see you guys next time on Recovery Inspired Hope.
Bye.